All right. So here we are, Perry. Thank you so much for inviting us into your garage. I greatly appreciate it. I know it's a little bit quick right after the previous session, but I had this idea. I know that you have some friends in the rally business and the rally cars, and I think you have something special in your garage that's a limited time offer. So first, Perry, I mean, for the people who don't know, you race in the classic grid. You race with the beautiful Audi Coupe. What is some of the background that brought you to VARAC for some of the people who might not know you as closely as I do?
Well, thanks, Chris. Yeah, no, I grew up in motorsport. My dad was even up to a pro level back in the 70s. But I first went to Mosport in 1966 to watch my dad with his driver's test and followed his career through the 60s and 70s. So I was kind of like a pit kid, I guess you would say, back in the mid 60s, right up until maybe the mid late 70s. And then my dad got out of racing and I got involved in some other things. But I always wanted to get back into road racing. I did the go kart, stock car, motocross thing. And I just never found a good opportunity for me, with the cost of racing and getting married and doing houses and things like that. Um, but it came across to me probably more in the late mid 80s that I could actually, get out on the track in a road race situation with a club like VARAC. I met a fellow named Peter Aschenbrenner who had this beautiful Audi 80 GT that he bought in Europe and brought to Canada and raced in IMSA and Trans Am. And that kind of got my interest in the German cars at that level. And I loved that Audi coupe. And even tried to buy it from him one time, but it was way out of my price league back then. So as time went on, I came across an Audi coupe that I thought I could do something with and built that and had a career with Audi, and VARAC was available for people that wanted to get into racing, and I decided to join the club and do what I'm doing with the car in VARAC. It's been a lot of fun. The people are great, and uh, I just wanted to get out and race at Mosport like my father did, and never really had a good opportunity. So not that I only get out there to race, but I ended up winning races and the championships, and it's been like a dream come true for me just to do that at a level that I can afford and I can handle myself. I do all my own work, so that's a bonus too.
Well, some of the work that you do, I mean, certainly one of the comments that we get when everybody sees your either your paddock or the cars is meticulous. And I just see in the background, your garage looks the same. So obviously this is something that you've grown up with and you've had the ability to maintain it throughout both the racing that you're doing and also like your regular lifestyle. I mean, that's very nice.
Oh, I'm flattered. Well, I came by it honestly. I think my dad was a bit of a nut about that, and beat me with a broom if I didn't keep things clean. And I learned in his shop, that part of doing stuff well was to keep the area clean and work that way. If you make a mess while you're working, you're not going to do it right, and you keep things orderly, neat, and tidy, and then everything else follows. And I've always kind of done it that way in my career and in my racing and around home.
Right. So like your finish to DNF ratio is excellent. And it probably stems from a lot of the meticulousness. They say that 90% of racing is preparation. And you certainly have given a lot of effort to preparation and you get the obvious results. So good for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, there were some trying moments, and we had our problems, but that was part of the development of the car. This car you just can't go and buy anything for. I pretty well had to create most of it, but I kept it within the rules and the vintageness. Like there's nothing. This car is 1981, and there's nothing really on it except safety equipment that wasn't available in '81. So I'm trying to keep it period correct like that. It doesn't have an engine from a newer car in it or anything like that. Is all from back then.
Right.
So that's part.
So, so the car's right there with you, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Fantastic. So last year you did, is it possible like to change the livery in the back? Because I think that looks fantastic.
Yeah. So let me change the view here now. Okay. So we're getting into it here.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so yeah, well, as you know, I worked for an automobile group for 30 years and no longer with them anymore. And, the sponsorship kind of is not there for me as well, which they were really involved with and I appreciated. But we kind of are doing our own thing now. So the livery changed for 2022. And a friend of mine who's just brilliant with graphics and design and things like that, he does wraps on vehicles. He came up with the idea to kind of take a take on Audi Sport from the past and maybe change the colors somewhat. We don't have the brown in it, we've got the black. And that kind of gives the car that Audi Sport look, but kind of geared towards my own team.
Yeah.
And he designed our own logo, which is Mason Historic Racing, which is kind of fitting for what we're doing. And it's just fun, it really is, and kind of gives us our own identity. And we really enjoy that. And the Audi Motorsport across the windshield is kind of reminiscent of Audi's early touring car days when they had these body styles, this and the two-door sedan. Before Audi Sport was an actual thing, they had Audi Motorsport. So we went with that to kind of give it the retro look from back in the day.
The lights on it make it look amazing. The gleam is perfect. So very, very nice. Now you mentioned that you had somebody who was doing the wrap for you. There's lots of people in the club who always look for people who do wraps. Is that something you think that that person would be interested in taking on if they had other opportunities?
Yeah, no, I've known him for 30 years. He's a good friend of mine, and he's located just north of Schaumburg in the Holland Marsh area right now. And he takes on specialty work like that. And just a matter of contacting him and seeing if he's available to do that kind of thing. But he's done lots of stock cars, race cars. He's always been willing to help me with this kind of thing. And no, yeah, definitely. Anybody is interested, just contact me personally and I can set you up. Hopefully he's available to do it.
Well, that's great, Perry. So part of this also is right knowing our contacts and sharing them. So I appreciate you doing that. Thanks.
Yes,
So
not a
let's
problem.
so let's talk about the car.
Yeah,
This one here is the 5-cylinder. Is that correct?
that's right. It's 5 cylinder. It's 1.998 cc's. So it's just around 2 liter with a turbocharger on it. And it's off of a very early Audi Quattro, or the 5000 is what the engine's based on. These cars that this is back actually utilizes a lot of the same design that the factory Audi Coupe had in European Touring Car Series. And there was only 3 of those cars really, and the Audi Museum has that stuff. One company owns one. One's in the museum, which was Peter Aschenbrenner's, then later on the Fransax. It's in the museum in Germany. And the other one kind of disappeared, but there's a KMI Auto Extra sponsored one that a friend of mine in Germany looks after. And it's not really the same, but it's close. But really, the car is super rare. So we have factory Audi Sport bodywork on it. Um, and the engine, originally in the cars in Europe, was a normally aspirated 2 liter 5 cylinder with mechanical fuel injection and built by Nothel, which is a tuning company in Germany. And also Lehman, I think, was involved with it at 1.2. But those engines are just not around, impossible. You can't get it. And if you could, it would be, $100,000 piece, because this stuff is absolutely incredibly expensive now. So back in the day when I got this car approved, they said the motor and everything I'm using in the car was period correct for the era. It was available in this body, so I was able to use it. So that's what we're using, and I build it myself. A lot of special stuff inside that I was able to do, and it seems to hold its own out there.
Right. It does fantastic. It has the 4-wheel drive system on it. It's all-wheel drive, correct?
No, it's a front wheel drive car. See, that
Wow.
was the difference. So back back in the turn of 1980 or so, Audi was pretty dominant in European touring car with the Audi Coupe and the Audi, I guess you could call it the Audi 80 sedan, which in North America was the Audi 4000, which was a two-door version. So they raced those two cars using these kind of fender flares and spoilers and everything in touring car. And then Quattro was being developed around the same time, but that was strictly for rally. So the road race cars were front wheel drive, and the rally cars were just coming on the scene in 1980, 81. And that's where the Quattro was being developed. And we never really saw Quattro show up in road racing probably until the mid 80s. So all the touring car stuff was front drive, and this one is still front drive. It's got special Audi sport gears in it, so it's pretty strong. I had to have it custom made in Germany. You know, not that easily for this car, so it's been a challenge that way. But I've got enough spares and everything's under control now that I can have fun with it for a few years and not worry too much.
Fantastic. So how do you find that? Have you had some races in inclement weather? How do you find the front wheel drive driving experience?
Love it. This car, you know, I've got another set of tires. I use RA1s usually. I went with the Toyo tire because it's reasonably priced and it lasts a long time because I'm on a budget. So I don't like to, you know, put the high dollar tires on and have them smoke them on weekend. I'd rather run a little bit slower and have it last for the whole season. So this car, it's a force out there in the wet because, as some of the classic guys might remember, there were some battles where I was going for overall in the wet, not just class 3. So and I enjoy driving the wet. I grew up running back road snowmobiles and all that kind of stuff, so I have a nice feel for running in slippery conditions. Doesn't show that well in my ice racing, but that's another story we'll get to later on. But
Yeah,
on road courses, I really enjoy it, and it's been fun. And you know, I've had a lot of victories in the wet out there.
that's excellent work. I think you have a guest in your garage. Is that right? I see something just over to the left, to the right, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, speaking about quattros and things like that, what we have here
Oh my
is
goodness. Wow.
yeah, this is a 1983 Audi Quattro. Pretty well all original. The paint's been redone, but very professionally. This car just came up from California 2 weeks ago, and a friend of mine, now a friend we've met in the last year or so, has asked me to personally look after the car, and we just brought it directly from the transport right to here. I've gone over it. We've got the car licensed and certified for Canada now. And the owner of this car is Vesa Mikkola. And if any of you know rallying, Hannu Mikkola was world rally champion in 1983. He was one of the best rally drivers in the world, bar none. World champion 83. He and Michel Mouton helped develop Quattro with Audi right at the beginning. So the legacy of the owner of this car is absolutely incredible. This is his son's car.
Wow.
Anu passed away, I guess it was a year and a half ago or so of an illness, and he's missed by his family for sure in the Audi world. But I was flattered when his son asked me to look after this car. But anyway, we're done with it now, and he'll be taking it home tomorrow. So we got this opportunity just in time. But this is beautiful.
Oh, that's absolutely incredible. And look at
Yeah,
that.
it is basically probably one of the finest examples of a Quattro that I've seen in a while. And I've worked on these for the last 30 years, and I've seen a lot of them show up even like 20 years ago that were pretty junky. But this one here is, you know, virtually just like new.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the
It,
interior is so inviting. It's
yeah,
crazy.
it is. It's got a bit of wear on the seats, but they are original. So that's all part and parcel of a car that's 40 years old.
Yeah.
And it's even got very, very rare steering wheel. That was an accessory Audi Sports steering wheel you could get for these cars. And I'm surprised it's got that because I've never seen one in person. I might have seen one in the museum when I was there, but I haven't seen one here. That's kind of cool. And this car's a North American car. It's had, I think, 3 owners, and Vesa's now the 4th owner. and it's got the European upgrade in it. So it's got the dark lighting in the back, and it's got the shortened bumpers. It's got the Euro style bumpers installed on it. It does have the 15x8 Ronels, which he plans on refinishing in the next little while to the proper silver they're supposed to be. The owner of this car liked the Audi Sport Quattro short wheelbase look, so he did them white.
Yeah, I have to say I like the white too.
Yeah, no, the white is
Very
cool.
rally-ish.
Yeah, that's the way they were, and they built that short wheelbase car, 200 versions of that to meet homologation, and they all had the 9-inch Ronels in white, and the cars were available in red and green and black and I think silver or something. But anyway, they all had the white Ronels, so that's why these ones were painted that way. They're not that nice. They're not finished very well, but he wants to do them correctly, which is great. I like that idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is really something else. So how did the relationship grow between you? I mean, how did you meet up with him to get this level of
Well, we started conversing on Instagram, and he liked my car. I always followed him because I was a fan of his dad's, and
of course.
I saw the posts of everything going on, so we started talking online, and then Audi Tradition, actually, the historic division of Audi in Ingolstadt, did a feature on me. I guess it was last summer. They did a three day, basically the full week that they do Instagram. They featured me and my car and my racing, and we started talking at that point because he was well recognized in Audi Tradition and because of his dad, and they did a special event with honoring his dad, and one thing led to another. And anyway, it turns out he lives in Newmarket, so he moved to Canada a few years ago, and he's local to me, and he looked me up at Drive Festival this summer to meet personally, and so we hit it off, and we're looking after his car.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we have another one coming. He's taking this tomorrow, and he's actually inherited his father's 1972 Mercedes 280E, I think it is. That was Hannu Mekola's personal car, his favorite car of all time. And I'm getting that car next to work on, so that'll be fun. And
Fantastic.
then real honor.
Yeah, that's something else. I mean, a relationship that you're able to grow over a car enthusiast event. I mean, that's perfectly, it's exactly what it's for, right?
Yeah, and he's a super nice guy, and I did talk to him about maybe if he was able to display this car at the Vintage Grand Prix with your Lancia and maybe Anthony's RS200, as we were talking about, and he's on board for that, so that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, so that's something else that we've been working on behind the scenes is to get some of these, rally legend cars at the VVGP this year. So Anthony was gracious enough to say that he would be bringing the RS200, and you were kind enough to arrange for this car possibly to be there, right? Tentatively.
Yeah.
So this would be something really, really neat.
Yeah, no, I think so. And plus, my good friend Gary Scattergood has a Mercure XR4 Ti, which basically is a clone of the, I guess what they call the RS 500.
Sierra RS 500, yeah. So Lombard Rally standard winning car, yes.
Yeah, I did some work on that car recently, and we took it out of mothballs. It was sitting for over 20 years in a barn, and went over it and got it running and sorted it out, and hopefully we can have it out there sitting with it. It looks great.
Yes, absolutely fantastic. So, again, meticulous work, very, very nice, Perry. So,
oh, thank you. No, I enjoy it, and now that I've away from the hustle and bustle of the big stuff, I'm playing around with this a little bit.
Right, and speaking of meticulous, you and I have been paddock next to each other at the VVGP, and I saw in the background you had your truck there. I remember when I was next to you, how many people would come up and say, "Hey, Perry, how did you get this Chevy to be so nice?" I mean, it is really in fantastic shape too.
Yeah, well, I can show you that. It's sitting in here behind me, and I can give you a little story about that now too.
Sure.
Let me spin this around. Okay. So there it is. That's the famous truck everybody was drooling over for a while. And how do I keep it so nice? I've owned it since 1987. It's an 88 model, so I bought it brand new. It's never seen snow, but it sits inside every winter, so it's away now for the winter. It's never seen winter, and I use it for hauling in the summer, and I use it as a normal truck in the summer, but I'm careful with it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a special edition Silverado, fully loaded for the era. And it honors the RCR Dale Earnhardt Championship of '87 when they went to Goodwrench. So that's why the black and silver and red is kind of plays with the RCR theme of the day.
Well, the
But yeah,
pinstripe is what does it. I mean, that's really, really nice.
and it's all original paint. The interior is original.
I mean, look, and it's a time capsule. It's amazing.
Yeah, I use it for storage in the wintertime, as you can see. I pulled the cover back, but there's a bunch of boxes in there for my wife's business, so it's all laying there for future use. And I store my race stuff. Most of the race stuff's underneath the tarp. But
It's
yeah,
good.
no,
It's easy for a quick getaway in case you have an emergency event. That's perfect.
yeah, no kidding.
I
It's
always know
only
where your
got,
race stuff is.
yeah, it's in there. It got to go. But it's got 78,000 Ks on it, so hasn't had to have a lot of major work. Anytime something goes a little funny on it, which any vehicle does, especially with age, I definitely get right on top of that.
Yeah.
But it's super clean. I guess I can pop the hood on that too, and you can have a look underneath.
Not
That's
too
one.
hard, sure.
Yeah, a lot of these folks that see it that have had these trucks or just have trucks in general, they expect to see a total disaster when they open the hood because it looks so nice outside. But
Yeah, look at that.
Basically as good as new still.
Meticulous, right? To
Yeah,
apply to everything. That's what it is.
I do want to do some engine work on it in the future, though, simply because these engines of that era were known for soft valve guides. And what happens is when the truck is driven, you shut it off, sits there for a few hours, you restart it, you get a puff of blue smoke from the valve guides. It was very common on these. I worked at GM before Audi back in the 80s, so I remember all that. So I'm going to build a set of trick heads that look original, put them on, end that problem. I've just been lazy.
But you
Other
haven't,
things,
are you having that problem or not yet?
sorry, I missed that because I shut the
You're
hood.
not having that issue though, are you?
Yeah, no, it has that issue, but
Okay.
it's not. It doesn't even use oil. It just pops a bit of blue smoke every time. But that's something that I'm going to address in the near future. Certainly doesn't affect anything, but I would like to have that fixed right. So I'm going to do that.
Okay. Very nice. Now having your race gear out, in wintertime is handy because I think last fall you actually did a ice racing session with a car that you built. Is that right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
So how did that come about? What
Well,
made you?
an old friend of mine, Brad Elkins, who is the CASC ice racing president, he has been bugging me for years to come out and do some ice racing. He used to be my neighbor in Schaumburg when we lived there. And I finally, in 2020 during COVID, you're at home and everything. And I had to help clear up my parents-in-law's house because my father-in-law passed away and they sold the house. So there was a neighbor that had a Mitsubishi Lancer rally art, and he knew I was in the cars. He says, "I really want to get rid of this car. What do you think?" And I saw it. I said, "Gee, I'll buy it. Sure, I buy anything that's interesting." And I thought maybe we can turn this into a rally car. It was kind of like a COVID project. So without any serious intentions of actually, doing anything other than building it because I like building stuff, we built that car and ended up putting it together and racing it last year in the series. I'll just open the door here. You can have a look at it. It's outside. Normally it's sitting inside, but it's outside right now for the
Oh yeah.
fact of the Quattro being here.
So
But yeah,
as race, obviously, so that's perfect.
yeah. No, it's ready to go, and I'll let everybody know that it is for sale because I don't plan on racing and ice racing this season. Other things on the go right now. I'll maybe build something later on. So it is available if anybody wants a turnkey, reliable, warm, ready to run racer with 2 sets of wheels and tires, studs and regular snows. They're all new. Car doesn't need a thing. You just take it to the track and go racing.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. No, it's a sweet little car. It's been so much fun, and I'd never raced ice racing before, and that goes back to the discussion we had a little earlier about sliding and being good in the rain at Mosport. But I'm telling you, it requires a lot of patience to get around Minden and go to the front. Now, I led the races a few times in my class, and I was a rookie, but those guys that do it all the time, they just have that extra patience and extra finesse to be able to move ahead slowly and slowly. I was getting a little bit too aggressive, and that would slow me down. That's what I learned. But it's all good because it's so much fun.
We have
I
some
recommend.
Quebec racers that are really, really good racers, and they all thank their early ice racing and rally racing for proper car control. So,
Absolutely.
you know,
I agree with that 100% because there's nothing better than going out on the ice to be able to do that.
so you also have a nice little corner there. Let's go see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is crazy. My wife calls it my shrine.
So what is all this? I can't show us.
I have years of memorabilia, and there's ALMS winning flags by the drivers. I was fortunate enough to be able to crew with Yost on a Le Mans R8, and Emanuele Pirro crashed it, and we had to put the car back together for the next race. And the crew chief threw me a fender, said, "Yeah, you better have that." I said, "Sure, I'll take that." So I got a actual R8 Le Mans carbon fiber fender here as a piece
Oh
of
my
memory.
goodness.
Yeah,
Wow.
some of my old racing suits from before, and jackets and stuff, and
This
stuff
is
like
worth a
that.
whole episode of Garage Tour just by itself. Amazing.
Oh, I know. Evil Knievel helmets from the movie Evil Knievel, which I was able to acquire because I got to see him when I was a kid jump at the CNE. So I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. These are actually helmets used in the movie. Wish they were really Evil's helmets, but they're kind of unattainable. But I
Yeah.
got a bit of a display of special things. I was in the RC racing. I still got a lot of RC cars and stuff. That one there's got a brushless motor before guys with RC cars used brushless motors, and does about 125K. And we had races before work. It was so much fun.
Wow. I like the Days of Thunder helmet too.
Yeah, yeah. I created that one.
Yeah.
That's Cole Trickle's helmet out of one of my old helmets.
Yeah.
So I painted it up and did some graphics. Did all that myself. And because I like the movie, I got a bit of a Days of Thunder display there.
Yeah.
So yeah, and my NASCAR stuff. I made a Earnhardt helmet here too. He was one of my heroes in NASCAR.
Yeah, for sure.
Got Richard Childress wine and model cars and collectibles. I build a lot of model cars too. So I've got cars that I put together, and some are just bought die cast. And there's a section
So
down
see,
here.
that's fun because that's something else that's quite popular with some of our members is the die casts and the
Yeah,
precision that it takes to properly assemble and to do that. You know, Robert Searle does some of that as well. So it's pretty neat how these things
yeah. So
appeal to more than one member.
it's a great hobby, great pastime. Fine skills are required, and I just did a commission model car for a friend of mine who worked in a NASCAR team down south, and I built a model of the car, one of the cars he worked on, a mutual friend that was a driver back in the day, and I'm giving that to him this weekend. So that's kind of fun. These
Yeah,
are
cool.
my Audi collections here, various you know bought ones, and I built the Michel Mouton car there. That's a rare kit now. It's hard to find.
Yeah, of course.
And some R8 stuff and collectible RC cars. That big Quattro there is a Radio Shack one you could buy at one time, and I found it in a Goodwill store. So I was so fortunate to find that because they're worth a lot of money, and it's just beautiful for my collection. I got road racing stuff. If you look in there, you can actually see my Audi coupe on the top there. I
Yep.
recreated it in Hot Wheels size.
Nice.
Some Porsche stuff and BMW and IndyCar, plus the decals and things. This is only a small part of what I've got. I've got stuff put away that just goes on and on. I probably got upwards of 600 model cars.
Wow.
And, these are a few of them, and there's more over here. I got a collection of Volkswagen Beetles and stuff like that that I used to be crazy about collecting.
Neato.
Some of them are pretty old.
So like real
And
dinky toy type.
oh yeah, that's you'd find them at garage sales and carrying on. I built a Michel Mouton RC S1 rally car from a Tamiya chassis and a body I found in Europe. Um, that thing's a blast to drive, especially the slippery. All kinds of other collectible things. Bark member Ken Graham, who I've known for a long time, he gave me some of the things he had over the last couple of years, and he gave me an AJ Foyt. So I got AJ Foyt and Scott Goodyear here standing side by side.
Which will never happen. Yes, of course.
No, exactly. Yeah. Tony Stewart was bad, so I had to put him in behind here.
That's the right place for him. Yes, exactly. Hide him
Oh, yeah.
away.
I have a funny story as I remember watching one of these NASCAR races back in, I guess it was probably in the early 2000s or whatever, and Tony Stewart was bad mouthing Goodyear about the tires and called them out on TV. And well, didn't it happen that the next week he was at a Home Depot down the street from my work signing autographs? So I took a Goodyear tire
Oh.
and had mine at the same week. Just got to figure out which one this is. Oh, there it is. There you can see his autographs right there. Tony Stewart.
Did he laugh? Did he get it?
He laughed. He got a kick out of it. And he said, "Where the hell did you get these tires? They're like hockey pucks." I said, "Yeah, they're off my dad's old Trans Am car. Bill Adam drove my dad's car at one point, and that's a tire off of it. It's brand new, never been used, but it's hard as a rock." And he says, "Well, were your tires any more consistent than mine?" I said, "Yeah, they work fine. We didn't have a complaint about them."
The tires back then, would flat spot the track. That's how hard they were.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, no, but it was a laugh. And these signs are beautiful. Doug Switzer did an amazing job for us at Drive Festival, and they created these signs to put beside our cars when they were on display.
Yeah.
And it's a nice. Well, we'll use it next year if we do that again.
For sure.
Or
It's been very popular. We got a lot of really positive feedback from people who are not familiar with VARAC or with the road racing at all. They're like, "What do you guys do? And where do these come from? And you race here?" And yeah, so definitely a lot of exposure was so thank you very much for going out there.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. And we're also saying that we should make sure that anybody who had one of these signs, or maybe other people could get them and have Doug make them, is we could them with the cars while we were paddocked at the Grand Prix in June.
Yep.
So fans walking around can look at the sign and see what the car is about, which would be cool. This is a neat little car. This is a handmade steel pedal car that was created by one of my dad's friends who was a master body man and stock car racer back in the day. And it's one of the first ones he made. And my dad gave it to my daughter on her first birthday. My daughter's 23 now, so she doesn't fit, but it's going to be a family heirloom for sure.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
the craftsmanship around stuff like that. I mean, one-off, handmade.
Yep. Oh no, it's amazing. And the funny story on this one is my dad has classic cars, and I had a car to put on display, and we went over to the Tottenham Classic Car and Truck Show, and we entered this car with my daughter. Here's a picture of her at the car show. You can probably sitting there. And we entered her in the real car class, and she won. She won overall in the whole show because everybody voted for her because she was so cute, and it pissed off a lot of people that had these $100,000 restored cars. I'll tell you.
That's fantastic.
It was funny, but I think we spearheaded back in that time. We spearheaded the pedal car class for the car shows in Ontario, because ever since then we started having a separate class.
Yeah, they didn't
because
want that to ever happen again, right?
no, no. So now it's a separate class. Yeah, some of my posters and things signed by drivers. That was a nice find. Lit up players.
Yeah,
I think that's Villeneuve.
JV.
Yeah, pretty cool. And yeah, cars. The cars go on forever. There's toolboxes in the toolbox. It's a
Display
haven
case.
for cars. Some of the guys in VARAC will know this car. I built a replica of, well, Larry Costs is kind of like that, but this is Bill Brack, the way I replicated that car.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. There's various other ones, but yeah, the model collection, the Hot Wheel collection goes on for hours here. Let me tell you, I
Great.
got one of everything, man.
Well, Perry, I have to say thank you so much for inviting us into your garage. I mean, this is exactly what this sessions were made for, showing off the incredible work that you have. And so congratulations on what a great collection. And this is really something else. Thank you again for taking the time on a busy day to show us everything that you have. So thank you again.
Well, I appreciate it, Chris. Anytime. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing who else shows off their garage. I mean, I can't compete with guys like Ted with his 40 race cars sitting in there, but it's just fun. Everybody's got their own way of doing things and their own size, and this is my little getaway. So